Today I'm talking to each of the guys around the year that was 2020, the effects that COVID has had on each of their respective business units, what skill sets have been in demand, where most of the action has been, and most importantly, what we're expecting to see in 2021. Today I welcome Fergal Gleeson, T+O+M Executive's Head of CFO Practice across Financial Services and Commerce and Industry. Over to you, Fergal.
Well, yeah, certainly it was a year where there was a lot of panic, fear and loathing, and that's just talking about myself. But in the broader market, I think that sort of March to May period was particularly difficult for commercial businesses and commercial clients. That was really hard hit. Financial services actually has been very resilient through all of that period. In terms of the finance community, we haven't really seen layoffs to any extent. Companies that have, they've had very specific issues as opposed to broader COVID ones. We're also very active in the Fintech community. I've run a CFO Fintech breakfast over a year or two with Deloitte, and those businesses have had a mixed year given the pressures on funding. On the commercial side, software and technology businesses have been probably one of the more resilient parts to the business. I guess the reality is they're solving a lot of problems which COVID has thrown up in terms of cloud-based solutions, e-commerce, remote working. So that's a trend we've seen in terms of the type of roles coming through. I think we've seen property businesses tilt towards industrial again, picking up on that theme. Retail again has gone in that direction where there's a big digital and e-commerce play, which was happening anyway, but which is definitely accelerated. So clients have definitely become very specific in terms of wanting candidates to meet all the requirements. I think there's a perception from clients in the market that there are lots of people walking the streets, and so they're expecting very high demand for jobs. In practice, that's not actually been the case. As mentioned, Australia has proved more resilient, and so while I think there is an issue for very senior finance people in smaller commercial companies, outside of that I think the supply of people is not any better than others. But what are we seeing that's in demand? Well, particularly contract stuff. So some roles that would normally be permanent and probably are genuine ongoing roles are being hired on a fixed term contract basis. Again, because actually there aren't overseas travellers in the country at the moment, this is an area actually of real skill shortage. To pick up on the sort of digital theme that we spoke about earlier, I think things like finance people who've got experience in things like supply chain, procurement, or have supported the build out of digital platforms are again in very high demand, reflecting what those businesses are trying to do. Within banking, I suppose regulatory and treasury related roles are definitely still the hot topics. Again, not easy to find good people in, so those roles are taking a while to fill. And I think another broader trend is finance transformation. So again, we've been talking about automation for 5 years or more. Again, all of this is accelerated as businesses are moving on to cloud-based ERP solutions, and so finance transformation candidates are also in demand. Well, I think I'm expecting the start of 2021 to be pretty slow. I think a lot of people are very tired, very burnt out, and everyone I talk to is really looking forward to Christmas and a long break in January. So I actually think the market might start off relatively slowly next year. Look, overall it's probably no more than a hunch, but I've actually got a pretty positive feeling about how things are going to play out next year. There's a lot of positive news coming through about vaccines. There's a lot of stimulus coming through from the RBA and the government, so I'm hoping we see a strong recovery. Look, an interesting anecdote to share, but I think the lesson that I took from it is that even in a tough environment, even in a recession, you should stick to your guns, and if you're moving, when you're moving jobs, take the job that you really want, not just the one that's available. We had a candidate going through a process who received another job offer, wasn't currently working at the time, and our process wasn't completed. So I think the sensible thing to do in a recession is the bird in the hand, just take the job. But they made the very courageous decision to stick with their guns. They actually got the job offer they wanted. So I think that's a good lesson for all of us in life about if you know what you want, if you know it's going to be right for you, back yourself. One of the things that I really enjoyed during this strange period has been how dress code has really relaxed. Previously, people that you only ever saw suited and booted, you now see them in their 15-year-old t-shirts. And I think people just have an opportunity to be themselves and express themselves a little bit more, which I think has been a nice way to connect with people. So that's it for me. Hope you've enjoyed this market update, and we'll see you again soon.